All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for another Blockchain Future. Sorry about the background noise. They're doing some construction downstairs. So this article jumped out at me because I myself have been through a divorce. So imagining using the blockchain or a blockchain to hold a prenup or a wedding contract is actually, it sounds pretty good. Imagine actually having all of your ducks in a row via a smart contract before anything happens or could happen. I mean, you never really think about divorce when you're actually getting married, but it is something that I'm going to say men in particular need to look out for because of the legal system in the West in particular. So I just wanted to go over this article and kind of hit on some points, and kind of you can kind of see the future of where these smart contract platforms are going when it comes to um, even dividing up financial assets for something like divorce. So the smart wedding contract. You can say there is an endless possibility to the use cases of blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and smart contracts. It has been used for unthinkable solutions such as XFin's or Zinfin's Smart Land Registry solution, the Currency Analytics Real Protocol, TCAT, etc. The list goes on and on. But each day we wake up to new and astounding possibilities of the blockchain technology. You can just imagine having a smart wedding contract deployed on the blockchain. According to the smart wedding contract prototype, as proposed by Christian Lands from Block 42 in a Medium post, the contract is most useful in deciding who owns what after a divorce situation. And this is his quote here. The essence, I believe, should be more towards strengthening the bond between couples, such as applied by uh, 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 Torvecker and Kalisker and their website. Wow. As um, uh, as opined by I can't say that, from Currency Analytics. Uh, Torvecker and Kalisker use the Ethereum blockchain to help them ensure their marriage commitments are upheld. Commitments like how much time to be spent together, doing what each partner enjoys, etc. Wow, they went really overboard with the contract side of marriage. The use of smart wedding contracts as proposed by Christian is very useful and should not be overlooked. I'm not sure if English is the first language of the person that wrote this article, but the content is good nonetheless. So it seems like these two people that kind of came up with the idea are already very blockchain focused. So in addition to just financial assets, it looks like they actually even got into time spent together in the smart contract. I don't know how you can actually make a smart contract actually enforce that stuff, but I mean, maybe if somebody doesn't live up to their end of the contract, the smart contract executes. But it actually gets more into it here and the pros and cons of a marriage smart contract. I think a marriage smart contract is a better word than a wedding, um, because a wedding is more the ceremony, and marriage is the actual institution. The pros: storage. Both smart contract execution given above suggested that the original or physical copy of the marriage certificate be stored using an interplanetary file system. I was again be stored using the interplanetary file system, and the hash be stored on the blockchain. This is expedient, as storing the whole file on the blockchain will be cost implicating. It will also help couples add an extra layer of security to the proof that they are married. Anything can happen to safeguard, or anything can happen to, okay, so anything can happen, and you should safeguard physical certificates such as loss due to fire or natural disaster. Definitely not English as a first language. And this kind of goes back to the video I did about non-fungible tokens, and that's popping up in the corner right now. That video is specifically about holding items like marriage certificates, birth certificates, non-fungible tokens, specifically the I believe it's the ERC 721 standard. That is kind of aimed in that direction, but definitely storing it on IPFS through a hash can work. The only issue I have there is, well, I guess you can keep it encrypted on IPFS, but I think it would be more secure as a non-fungible token on a blockchain itself. Commitment. Torvecker and Kalusker's application will help the couple strengthen their bonds. This is by helping them spend more time together doing what both parties enjoy. Let me read that again. This is by helping them spend more time together doing what both parties enjoy. Okay, I'm not sure how that works. And anybody that's been married knows that that's difficult to do just in general, depending on the mood of each person. But we'll move on. Assets. This is really, I think, the key to this smart contract. Christian proposed that couples can easily add assets to the smart contract. Both parties have to sign with their private keys to add or remove an asset. The smart contract also acts as a form of savings for the couple. In case of divorce, the funds are divided into halves and sent to the wallet of both parties. The assets are also divided by the smart contract to decide who owns what. Both parties must also sign with their private keys to decide the state of the smart contract. The different states can be unsigned, signed, not divorced, or divorced. And this is prose. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm reading the prose here. And I can see that working, especially as we move forward into a world that is definitely more based on blockchain. And again, anybody that's dealt with divorce and has to deal with lawyers, this would simplify the entire process. Mutual agreement. This kind of contract is very useful with couples who have many assets on the blockchain. Most centralized law systems do not recognize cryptocurrency as a legal tender or store of value. Thus, in most cases, cryptocurrencies are not valid assets. For a partner whose significant other is not a cryptocurrency enthusiast or investor, it is easy to hide most of his or her assets against the touch of splitting in the divorce clause. A smart wedding contract will curb this and help both parties in truthfulness and transparency. And I could see that too, especially as more people become crypto rich. There's going to be needed some sort of way for, well, honestly, I'm not really for the whole, I think people should get whatever they go into the marriage with, but that's a whole nother conversation. All right, now we're moving into the cons. The blockchain. Both applications of wedding smart contracts are deployed on the Ethereum blockchain. This means that assets or funds to be stored are only ERC compliant. If per adventure the funds to be stored are not Ethereum based, then they have to be converted, else they are invalid. The prototype proposed by Christian does not support savings in stablecoins. For a volatile market such as we have today, the couples may want their funds to be in a stable currency. Well, if it's on the Ethereum blockchain, then Maker's DAI could be an option because it is a token within the Ethereum system. So I think that they're getting a little ahead of themselves with this con. Death. As identified in some comments, cases of death of a spouse have not been taken into consideration. If this occurs, the funds or assets in the smart contract remains frozen. Now, that is a huge problem. If you cannot do anything unless you have both signatures, then there needs to be some sort of fail-safe to help out. Maybe it could be a 3 multi-sig contract with the third person who's the mediator. In case something does happen to the second person, that does kind of, if one of the two people in the marriage gets that person on their side, that could be an issue in itself. But that is something that would have to be looked into. Arbitration in divorce cases. Other people spotted that in scenarios where one of the party refuses to consent or sign divorce despite signing it physically, there could be a real challenge as the smart contract only supports the signatures, aka the private keys, of both parties to change the state to divorced. And that's, yeah, I mean, it would have, I guess the legal system would have to get involved there, which is the whole point of these things, is not have the legal system get involved. Reconciliation after divorce. The wedding smart contract remains useless and cannot be interacted with after the divorce order has been executed. In cases where divorced couples get back together, they have to begin consultation on drafting the clauses of a new smart wedding contract as the old one becomes useless. The old contract should be reusable provided the private keys have not changed. I disagree with this completely because the smart contract was specifically designed to execute if there's a divorce, and a divorce happened. So then the assets are split. And then if they actually want to get remarried, which I don't know anybody in their right mind would want to get remarried again to their ex, but I guess it happens. At that point, they would have to draft a new contract because that's just how contracts work. So I don't get what they're trying to say here. And then just finishing up here, blockchain's unending application. The blockchain will continue to have its application in almost every aspect of life. Therefore, it is important to keep up to date with these exciting use cases, as it may be the turnkey and breakthrough information that you need in your business and work. Blah, blah, blah. This site brings you authentic, real, up-to-date news. Okay. So this is actually a pretty good example of, it's one of the reasons I started this channel, is that we're going to see more and more of these use cases pop up of making these smart contracts specifically having to do with things that are very financial in nature, like divorce, and how we can basically automate a lot of fields out of kind of, I don't want to say out of business. I think lawyers will always be in business, but these contracts will help definitely speed up the process. It will be quite some time before we are on smart contracts for almost everything in our lives, but we are moving in that direction. I know it's the very, very beginning. This is a marathon, not a sprint. But yeah, it's this was a great example of it, and I definitely think that anybody that is into crypto and is looking to get married might want to look into this. This is definitely interesting. Please leave your comments below. Please like if you like the video. I'll leave the link to the article in the description, or in the description. Thanks. Have a good one.